Welcome to Stewards Review. I'm Greg Wolf. With me, glad to have you here, Victor Escobar, New York Racing Association steward, as we take a look back at three incidents from this past week. Two resulted in no change. One did result in a disqualification, but the whole idea here, give horse players a chance to see what went into the decisions to make a change or not make a change.
Thank you, Greg. No, I'm happy to be here. And again, for us, we just want to invite our customers to have a better understanding of the adjudication process and understand that there is a process that goes into making these decisions. And we just hope to bring that to the forefront with our customers.
Yeah, we'll learn too. I think it'll help us on our shows going forward. Let's take a look at our first incident. It was back on August 15th, first race of the day from Saratoga in a New York bred maiden special weight. Winner's Manhattan Twist. Jose Ortiz on board. Man of Mischief, Junior Alvarado in second.
Yes, Greg, and in this race, so we had a rider's claim of foul. Junior Alvarado, rider of the three, lodged an objection against the winner. In the state of New York, the stewards are asked to determine, one, did an incident occur that resulted in a foul, and two, did the sufferer of that incident, was he cost the opportunity at a better placing? So after reviewing the video footage and listening to the testimony provided by the riders, the stewards were confident that even though Manhattan Twist does shift off of his running line, he was essentially always clear of number 3, Man of Mischief. As a result, there was no change to the
And I think
finish.
we're going to get a look at the head-on as well in terms of how much space you need to have to own that spot. And here it is. So again, Manhattan Twist. So that incident right there, correct?
Yes, correct. And so in the state of New York, you're entitled to any part of the racetrack so long as the race is clear. At no point did we feel that number 3 was had to hesitate or had to check in. So we were pretty confident just based on the video evidence that number 5 was always clear in number 3.
Was this a relatively quick, easy decision for you guys?
Yes, of course. We have to go through the process of every inquiry where we question the riders involved, but ultimately easy to dismiss.
Well, that was Jose Ortiz involved in that incident, which was disallowed. He was also involved in this next one as well. This was back on August 16th in a turf sprint in the Skidmore. I was actually on the air for this, so very intrigued to hear what went into the process in this one. Jet Sweep Joe, young rider, Joey Belmere, he was on the front end, on the leader here, and then things get tight.
Absolutely. So some pretty significant contact throughout the stretch run here. So we raised the inquiry sign just to look into the incident. Also, rider of the one, Joseph Belmere, lodged an objection thereafter to the Board of Stewards. So after reviewing the video and questioning the riders involved, the stewards were of the opinion that number 1 was essentially the aggressor in here. And as you can see here on the head-on, number 1 is hanging out throughout the stretch run, making contact with number 2 throughout. He's coming out under a left-handed drive. Jose Ortiz is just holding his ground here, which he's entitled to do. Nearing the wire here, it appears that the number 2 kind of comes in and makes contact with him, but again, it's just a result of him holding his ground. Number 1 was the aggressor throughout the stretch run. As a result, no action was taken.
And when you look at something like that, and you saw Joey Belmere, that young rider on the inside, when he's coming out and going to a left-handed crop, is that a little damning and make your job a little bit easier to say, well, he's forcing his horse out a little bit?
Well, what we want to look at, we're only focused on the incident itself. Now, of course, that is part of the evidence that shows why this horse is hanging out. But ultimately, the conduct of the rider, that's going to be handled the next day in the jockey review, and we'll use that as evidence to determine whether or not a penalty is appropriate for the ride.
What about in terms of when that 2 did come in? It was very late in a race. Is there a point where you say they're almost at the wire and the aggressor obviously you felt was, or maybe did you feel it was 50-50 there?
We certainly look at the proximity of where an incident happens to the wire, and ultimately we're asked to determine, did the incident cost the horse the opportunity at a better placing? Once again, the number 1 was hanging out on the horse throughout, so relatively easy to dismiss that final bump there at the end.
All right, well, a third incident, there actually was a change in this one. It's Vino Rouge, who crosses the wire first, would wind up being disqualified and placed 4th with a horse who did not hit the board here, Wrigleyville, that had Tyler Gaffalione aboard.
Yes, absolutely. So at the conclusion of the running of this race, there was a stewards inquiry looking at an incident late in the stretch run involving the winner, number 9, and the number 4, Wrigleyville, who had to check sharply. So after reviewing the film and questioning the riders that were involved, the Stewards were determined that the number 9 hangs out under a left-handed crop here, forcing the number 4 to check sharply, losing forward momentum. He was cost the opportunity at a better placing. He missed out on a position by a half-length margin, so that's something that we take into consideration when determining a change. So just based on the extent of the foul and looking at the way that number 4 was able to rally back and still be competitive at the finish, we made the decision to disqualify number 9 from the win in place of 4.
There it is. That's the bump, and does seem to shift him out fairly sharply.
Absolutely. So number 4 lost all forward momentum and got several strides taken away from him throughout that stretch run, hence the disqualification.
Yeah, you saw John Velasquez there. He was on board. The horse who crossed the wire first, take a look back, making sure, I would think, to make sure everyone was okay in that incident. Winds up being DQ'd, placed to 4th. And how much, in listening when these jockeys call up and they talk to you and try and plead their case, do you take that into consideration?
Yeah, it's a critical part to the adjudication process, right? So we have the visual evidence in front of us. Now, when we talk to the riders, we're taking that testimony and weighing it against the visual evidence, and then based on all the evidence presented, we come to the decision.
Fascinating. Continuing to learn throughout as we get some insight onto why changes are or are not made. Victor Escobar, thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the opportunity.
This has been Stewards Review. Hope you enjoyed it.